deserve. And I deserve a man who knows what I have to offer. I am who I am, and there's someone out there who wants that.
It looks like Katie Thurston may be the next Bachelorette after all. Reality Steve says an official announcement is just days away. Hey guys, welcome back to another shared news from home. We have got to talk about this major Bachelorette development. But before we get into it, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future updates. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring, and I'm joined by the wonderful Avery Grooms. Avery, we have heard that Katie was going to be the Bachelorette, then not going to be the Bachelorette. Then she was being replaced. We've gone back and forth a few times now. But the latest intel appears to be that Katie was the network's initial choice, but was reportedly dropped. And now, Reality Steve says execs have since flip-flopped that decision, and the official announcement is going to be happening soon. So, assuming all of this is correct, and we finally flip-flopped for the last time, do we like this news? Do we want Katie to be the Bachelorette? What is your reaction to this?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got used to the rumor when it first came out. I think it was right before the episode she had her one-on-one. So I even was watching that with that in mind, and it felt like she already had the Bachelorette edit. So it makes sense if she was maybe the initial pick and then they dropped it because all this got spoiled. But I got used to it then, so I'm okay with it. Like, I've always been Team Katie. She's obviously a huge fan favorite. Likable girl, relatable, and a no BS girl. We love that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that Katie definitely was one of the only women that made positive waves pretty much exclusively on social media this time around. It's obviously been a very tricky season, girl drama wise, lots of talk of the house being toxic. And she really was a beacon for, like you said, no BS, which was very refreshing. But the reasoning behind the flip-flopping obviously kind of has nothing to do with her personality. I think everyone sort of is on the same page. She's great. She would make a great Bachelorette. It's being reported that the reason is a major push from fans for a woman of color to be the next Bachelorette. That is reportedly what caused ABC to rethink their initial decision. But, I mean, clearly, if this is true, after more deliberation, they've doubled back and settled with Katie. So after the season we've seen, I mean, we've talked about this a lot. This season was supposed to represent huge, positive, sweeping change, major step forward. And let's face it, it certainly hasn't been that simple, right? So I guess this makes sense. This rethinking of Katie and, listening to what fans are saying. I get that move from ABC.
I totally understand it too. And, when we say representation, inclusiveness, that doesn't, half the time, it doesn't come from the lead. The lead can be whoever. That's just a whole matter of the show, how that plays into. But, I get it. In the height of all of this, they were receiving, suggestions how they wanted a woman of color. I get it. There can't be a person of color every time. It shouldn't matter what the lead is, as long as they're following through with what they said in terms of diversity and representation. Looking at the show as a whole, we need to look at the leads for individuals, who they are, and Katie's a great girl. We've had nothing bad to say about her, so I understand why she would be the pick, and I'm glad she is.
Yeah, Katie was definitely a fan favorite. A lot of people loved her, but it's not like she was literally the only fan favorite, right? The only girl that was not riddled with controversy. There were 3 incredible women of color in the top 4, plus Abigail, who fans absolutely adored while she didn't make the final 4. People loved her, and she could have been the franchise first Asian Bachelorette. And she also, of course, represents the deaf community, which a lot of people were thrilled to see the show taking that step when she was cast. So, I mean, like you were saying, progress doesn't only have to be represented by the lead. There's no question that fans do love Katie. She's obviously, got the personality to be a great Bachelorette. I think the question is, how could Katie's season represent progress?
So a little like I said before, it's not all about the lead. It doesn't all fall on the lead. It doesn't even go as far as casting, it's more so production and behind the scenes and Bachelor franchise, Bachelor Nation as a whole. There's so much progress that can be made in between all these little extra things. They tried this season. They tried. They had a black bachelor and they had the most diverse cast ever, but there was underrepresentation. Like the white women had more camera time at the end of the day. So a lot of POCs didn't get as much representation as they deserved, and they were even more so leads than some of the women who did. So it's just little things like that. Instead of just saying, yes, we did this, let's see it actively play a role in everything. Especially within production, I feel like if there were more people of color working behind the scenes, a lot of this could have been avoided. A lot more education could have been going around, and just overall more inclusion and diversity. It just doesn't always come from the lead, nor so even the cast.
Yeah, that's a really great point. I mean, we've talked a lot about this. Changes don't only need to happen with like Chris Harrison saying a different intro, right? Like that's not really what anyone needs to see. We want to feel a different energy from the show, and that's actually going to really come down to the producers. So, you know, those are kinds of steps that we don't usually know. Like we don't get, here are your contestants and here are their producers, right? Announced to fans. But it would be really cool for ABC to, you know, just let us know, hey, this is what we've done. These are steps we've taken, because clearly people are interested. I want to know. I feel like fans definitely want to know, if we're not going to see it on screen, what'd you do behind the scenes? Like, we're all in this together. We want the show. We want the franchise to succeed and move forward. So going back to Katie, there initially were reports that she would be announced at the Women Tell All, which of course Reality Steve walked back. That was just like a little bit of misinformation that, stained his pretty perfect track record, right, of getting these spoilers out and having them be correct. A lot of fans did feel, though, that even though she wasn't announced at Women Tell All, her time in the hot seat was basically a Bachelorette audition. So I'm curious if you think the public's response to Katie on Women Tell All may have changed ABC's mind. You know, was that what caused them to flip-flop back? Because I felt for her when she was sitting in that hot seat. You know, I want Katie to find love. How did you feel?
I think the public's response from the Women Tell All actually had a lot to do with it, especially given there was this whole flip-flop. I think it was that, and just rethinking everything. Like we said, the lead doesn't always have to be a person of color, and it won't, and that's not what is expected. And I feel like even though we can't see what's going on behind the scenes, as a person of color, I'll know by watching the show if people behind the scenes are people of color, just because little things that are incorporated and certain stuff wouldn't happen. So overall, that education and that can be avoided. But going back on what you just asked me, I do feel like she was always going to be the Bachelorette, especially after watching the Women Tell All. It did just seem like an interview in the best way possible. And just after seeing the responses, I feel like they were like, definitely she's going to be the Bachelorette. But that being said, there were other good choices. I don't know why necessarily it was Katie over some other girls, but I also can understand why. It just depends on what they were looking for and what really matched. So I'm looking forward to seeing her season, because I know she doesn't take any BS, and I feel like we've been dealing with a lot of that lately from Matt James's season and even Claire's, not so much Tayshia. But I feel like this will be refreshing, because this is actually a girl who really knows what she wants. She's at that age that she knows she can commit to a marriage, and just is not going to settle for anything less than she deserves.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I mean, there, of course, are many incredible women that could step into this role. And I mean, we saw them bring back Claire, right? So I'm sort of starting to believe that they're throwing out the rules, kind of this pattern of like, oh, whoever makes it to the end of the last season will definitely step into the role now. We could see some of these incredible women, you know, step into Paradise or step into the role of Bachelorette maybe down the line. With that being said, Chris Harrison obviously just did his Good Morning America interview, which we talked about in another video if you guys want to check that out as well. But the timing of all of this is kind of interesting to me, because they're not going to announce the next Bachelorette with this huge Chris Harrison question mark. And in that Good Morning America interview, he wrapped that up in a nice, neat little bow, you know, made it very clear he's going to be coming back, that is the goal. So do we expect perhaps that now that Chris has done his part on GMA, we could be hearing from Katie on Good Morning America? You know, sometimes it's announced on After the Final Rose as well. But if this, you know, Reality Steve gossip that the announcement is coming very soon is true, could we be seeing Katie on Good Morning America pretty soon?
Absolutely. I think the franchise really was focusing on cleaning up their mess with Chris Harrison before putting anything out, especially about a new season of the show. Because if they did that in height of everything, they would just receive backlash and pretty much people saying they are not going to watch it. But the fact that he went on and had that interview and kind of cleaned it all up, it's now safe to move on and they can maybe address that now. So I know they typically announce the next Bachelor or next Bachelorette after the other season has ended. But as we know, there's spoilers and we already got a hold of them. But I know they needed to shut down all the other controversy first before even moving on to that. So I'm definitely expecting the news to be soon or probably right after the final rose.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Now, I think a lot of us have become accustomed to blindly, just trusting reality Steve. He obviously gets a lot right. There's a good reason we do this. So we've obviously been talking under the assumption that this is correct, right? That Katie is going to be the Bachelorette. Let's just say he's totally wrong, right? That all of this is all this flip-flopping. We're either going to flip-flop again or he's got bad intel. It's not Katie. Who would you want to see?
That's a difficult question because I like girls for different reasons, and we do have a great group of girls, especially some of the ones who are left. But I don't know. I really like Michelle a lot. I would love to see her, and I feel like she's really funny. And we only saw like her personality at like little snippets at the end. Like I wanted more of it, so I would really like to see her, and of course Abigail. I feel like that would have been perfect, and in terms of representation, like she checks the boxes for multiple communities. So I think that would have been something great to see and something really different. We've never had a hard of hearing or a deaf contestant ever. So that would open gates for potentially more deaf people to be on the show, which is great because we're all about inclusion. So I would definitely say Abigail or Michelle, but I've always been a Katie fan as well.
Yeah, I'm totally with you there. You guys, on that note, we want to know how you feel about these rumors that Katie is going to be, when all is said and done, our new Bachelorette. Does this make you happy? And, is there somebody else you're pulling for? Because it's not official until it's actually official. Let us know down in the comments. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring. I was joined by the wonderful Avery Grooms. If you want to come say hi, our social handles are on the screen right now. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.